Sean, do a flip. Hey! So day 3, we're back on the F80. Me and Donnie are going to be taking out all the rear suspension and everything out of the car, so that way we can do the control arms, upgrade the axles, a modified piece that Jordan did for the differential to keep it locked, almost like a welded diff. We're also going to be putting the dual caliper setup that we just got made for it, and we're going to see how that works out, removing the parking brake assembly and a few other things.
What's up? I'm Donnie.
This is Donnie. He's our special boy.
Special boy.
Our special boy.
Be helping.
I am removing the stock parking brake assembly so we can get the parking brake lines out of the way to drop the subframe. But we're not going to be using this parking brake assembly with our new dual caliper setup in there. So we just take it all out of the way now. A little less weight when we drop the subframe. Look at this.
Well, you know they were most likely replaced anyway.
Yep, that looks good. So we have everything loosened, our brakes are out of the way, parking brake assembly, wiring harnesses, and all that stuff's disconnected, as well as the drive shaft. So now we are going to drop it onto the pallet with the pallet jack so that we can get the subframe out of the way, and then we can put the car back down and let Jordan keep on working on stuff. All right, go low, Donnie.
Lower?
Yeah. These little guys are all that holds the subframe in. Pick one. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with our Blue Thunder build series, but what we normally do is we have foreigners come in and then we make them do pressure washing montages. So here's an exciting pressure washing montage. So we have the subframe completely out of the car now, pressure washed and clean. So first thing is just to get everything disassembled, get the diff out of here. Things got some really aggressive Loctite on them, so I don't want to break them out because I don't feel like extracting bolts today. So we heat it up, soften the old girl back up. It's team bonding exercises. Now we got to figure out which bushing goes where. Let's play the bushing game.
The bushing game, the bushing game, the bushing game.
That looks about right.
Okay, this one goes here. This one goes here.
Okay.
Poly for the actual diff.
And solid to
chassis. Subframe.
Okay. So what's this big Johnny for? There's two of them.
It is a rear cover, but that's why we're gonna put two of the same ones in the rear cover. These two, and then these ones.
Two. Okay, I got you.
Got it?
That's smell what you're cooking.
Alright, let's
cool.
Get these out.
We're gonna do some pressy things. So we're gonna use the old Donnie press. Press the sleeve in first and then the other bushing. Donnie. Get your heel on it, buddy. Part two. Donnie press. Perfect. Fresh. It's not stupid if it works. Live by that policy. So we got our solid bushings for the diff mount, and one of them fits the way it's supposed to. Got to get pressed in, and then this one we measured with the dial caliper is actually 1 millimeter smaller than the other one, so it just kind of falls in. So now we got to deal with that too. So figure out if we can get another one soon, or if we just leave this piece out until we get the rest of the stuff. Now we're going to try and get all the stuff out of the subframe, which is going to be a lot more fun because I don't think our tool is going to fit.
Look, it's just breaking.
Yeah, I realize these New York guys just like to complain a lot. It wasn't that bad.
What time is it? It's like 5 hours. He's like halfway into a job. He's like, it's not that bad.
Well, you said taking them out's the hard part. New ones went in easy.
Well, if you sawzall it, maybe it's not that hard, but when it's in the car and you try and do it, it's pretty bad.
Well, maybe you don't do it in the car next time.
All right, let me tell you, customer, that'd be about like 40 million hours. No, you don't want
It
to do
took
it?
like an hour and a half to drop that subframe out.
2 guys, what time is it?
1.
All right, it's 1. So, what time we get here today?
9.
11, 12, 1. That's 8 hours if you have 2 guys on one job. So you're not even halfway done yet. So that'll be 25 hours to do diff pushing? You don't want to do it? All right, have a good day, guy.
Now you see how they charge in labor up there in New York. Ha! So a big shout out to SPL for providing a bunch of control arms for our rear suspension on the F80 build. You can see the factory control arm is a rubber bushing, which is more of a street oriented setup. But because we're going to be tracking this car, we changed everything over to these solid joints, which will give you a better suspension feel, but it is going to be a little bit more noisy for a street car, so usually just recommend them for race car applications.
So this is a factory differential motor that goes in here, spins a gear. There's a big circular thing with a ramp on it, and by this rotating, it loads up the ramp and applies pressure to the clutches. I'm not gonna get into how like a normal diff works, but that's how this one works. So the ECU or whatever module connects to this drives this motor, has a position sensor inside and stuff to see exactly where it is. Probably has some level of calibration to know what's fully locked and what's not. Problem is when you're trying to drift or do slides or burnouts, as soon as you lift off the throttle and get back on, it doesn't relock. So we're gonna take this and pretty much throw it away. I have this same thing on my drift car. It's manually tensing the clutches. So it's not working like an LSD unit of some sort. It's actually just working like, well, it works like a welded diff, not like a LSD. Because this is what changes how much it locks up, not like a ramp rate change in a normal differential. So we're gonna thread this in. We're gonna spin the drive shaft and show you guys how only one wheel spins right now. And as I tension this more and more, we're gonna see it turns it pretty much into a welded diff.
Donnie, come over here and hold an axle for me, buddy.
Well, I can still put this in, right?
Well, right now, because there's no load on it, both axles are spinning.
You do it?
Yep. All right. So as of right now, Donnie's holding that shaft, so I'm spinning. And now we're getting more and more.
Well, we're gonna, if I go like this.
Now we're full open diff guy. And we're spinning. Open diff guy.
It's getting easier?
Right, now I'm getting tension now. Oh, there she is. Now she's fighting Donnie boy.
Yeah.
Fighting you?
I'm on shaft patrol. Oh yeah, she's locked.
But yeah, we just did a little bit of tension on this. On my car, I had some issues of over tightening it, I guess. But if it wears down or anything, it is accessible under the car without doing much. So, cool. Locked down. Say tight enough.
Yep.
And he's got effectively a welded diff, or close to it.
Big scrubby tire.
Yep. Now, back to everything else.
Yeah.
So another reason why I'm here is we have a dual ear diff brace. What this does is it converts the differential from having a single mounting point in the rear to the subframe and allows for a lot of movement which leads to wheel hop. What feels like wheel hop as a differential violently shakes, and then you break axles. Sort of how his bushing, when we took it out, I think you guys saw that it had a ton of play. He pushed it out almost with a hammer.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be way stiffer, so the whole diff just rocks and feels horrible. This diff brace adds a second bushing. The factory subframe already has a hole for 2 bushing points if you want to take a look.
Yeah, it's convenient that the subframe already has the hole for it.
Yeah. It's not like a M coupe where you got a weld to the body, all that crazy stuff. So this brace utilizes 2 of the same upper rear bushings. You just order another rear upper bushing, preferably something poly, and then you get another mounting point. And this alone is one of the biggest changes in having horrible wheel hop versus having pretty much none. Obviously, tire choice, suspension, all has an effect. But this alone goes from your car, all these cars from the factory even, first, second gear, the wheel hop's like horrible. You put this on, it's like drivable and it breaks less things. So we do offer these at RK Tunes. So he's gonna get this
Shameless
installed.
plug.
Shameless plug. I gotta get one shameless plug.
Next, we have this awesome dual caliper bracket that the guys over at SLG put together for us. So this is the first version of it. We're going to be testing it out for them. They provide the Willwood caliper with it as well, so we're going to see if we can break it. This design is nice too because it actually wraps all the way around where the hub goes, so once you remove the bearing, it's really easy to install. But if anything does ever fail, it doesn't really let the bracket go anywhere, because we have had some issues in the past with some dual caliper kits where these bolts will snap, and then you'll end up chewing up the inside of the rotor or messing something else up. So you do remove the stock parking brake assembly from it to make this work, so you have to do something else or just park the car in gear. Goes right in there. Beautiful.
Good design. Good design. So right now, we just slid the front diff brace on, so we're gonna get it all tightened in and good to go. So then we can get the axles in it and then put it back up in the car.
Almost there, bud.
Almost.
So unbolting a couple of the control arms we had bolted up before, because it's easier to get the axle in from the bottom than it is from the top. So already got a few of the bolts out. Now the lower control arm's gonna come loose, and I'm trying to slam these Johnnies on into the differential. Our beautiful, fresh drive shaft shop axles. So we sent them the old axles, and then they make axles based off of, I guess they reuse some of the components from it and then just make it stronger. I think these are rated for like 1,000 horsepower. So we're gonna see if we can break them. He's really good at breaking stuff. Stock rear caliper back on. Now Donnie is putting our new Hot Boy Johnny Willwood on the back for the dual caliper setup.
Dual caliper.
You got dual mechanics too?
Dual mechanics.
Dual mechanics, drift
I wish I
weed.
could say we're twice as efficient, but it's
Really not. Now you ready?
Do I need to show you how to work that camera?
Yeah,
You press the button and it starts recording. Wrap up. Everything that we did in the rear end, we finally got the subframe back in. We got our awesome dual caliper bracket from SLG that they made for us for this big old Willwood that we ran with some polymatrix pads. We ran the Drift HQ hydro line setup, which ended up routing great with stock brake lines. We have all of these nice SPL arms as well as the SPL sway bar end links. We got our new BC coilovers put in there, all springed up. We have new drive shaft shop axle from RK Tunes. Jordan set us up with this awesome diff brace that gives us 2 mounting points instead of 1. Changed out our diff rear bushings here to put 2. Then our front here, we have all of the ECS solid bushings on the diff, and then solid with a bit of a poly insert on where the diff mounts to the subframe, so that way it's not so noisy.
And we put our diff locker little contraption that Jordan rigged up to make this diff act like a welded installed. That pretty much wraps up everything we're doing on the rear end of the car.
I was just here, hanging out, helping Chris.
Donnie was supervising. He was
supervising, trying to make things go smooth, make it so we can get some more stuff done faster. 2 hands always helps getting things done. Have an extra set there.
And Donnie has really soft hands too.
Soft hands. Strong baby.
Canadian moose hunting hands.
Canadian moose hunting hands.
You know how much maple syrup this guy drinks on a daily basis? It's
Maple
great.
syrup, love it. Love maple syrup.
As he rests in his humble abode of an igloo.
Yeah, I have an igloo.
It's his house.
It's actually my house.
His house.
Where I go out and about.
And he has a pet moose.
Pet moose. All of these things. All of it.
All the Canadian stereotypes. That's how
Yeah.
he lives his life.